Evening. This video documentation is in regards to the Mercedes-Benz Euro headlights, specifically for the 124 chassis. I actually have the 95, the facelift headlights right here. What I'm covering right here is basically the bench testing portion. I understand I have provided customer my coworker's video showing him bench testing the 4 to 5 pin. To go further on that, at this point I've actually removed the 4 to 5 pin. I'm directly bench testing each of these positive terminals. So I actually already grounded my negative pin, which should be the top one, which in the previous photo attachment I do believe it mentions brown for the top right wire, which you can see right here. So I actually have a 12-volt power supply I'm using to with my test lead to run through the functions just to show you. I understand that you purchased the HID setup, which is the H4 Bizenon kit, which I have them on the side right here. However, just to, for the sake of making this video documentation a lot easier to understand and kind of review, actually placing this out of the equation. I'll be dealing with this a little later. I just want to make sure everything halogen-wise is working for you with no problem. So if you can bear with me, just wondering if you have actually an access to a halogen H4 bulb, which is pretty much readily available anywhere. You can just pick one up. But this in itself is just something very straightforward. Being the case of the H4 Bizenon kit has a lot of things to do with grounding, battery hooks, relays, and whatnot. That's something I would like to kind of avoid for now, making sure everything works with the halogen setup before moving on to the more complicated wiring or securing of the battery hooks. So what I've done right now is actually inserted halogen H3 bulb inside the fog lights. I actually have a halogen H4 bulb for the low and high beam fixture, and I actually have a wedge bulb. I understand yours is going to be clear, but I didn't have it clear on hand, so I'm using just a standard T10 amber bulb. Same thing, it's just a different color output. So bear with me. I'm actually running through the bench testing right now just to show you what I got on my end and what I'm hoping that you can achieve on your end as well. Again, I understand you don't have maybe a 12-volt power supply, what we have on hand, but again, you can utilize your vehicle's battery or 12-volt battery supply. If you have a clamps and then to run to a smaller gauged wires, essentially what I'm doing is the same thing what you can do on your own. Okay, so with the test lead and also with the grounded already grounded, I'm going to go ahead and function each of the positive functions. So this is actually the red wire that you should tap, which is going to be for the city light or the parking light. You can see it turn on with no issues. Again, this is the other red wire. Again, on your end, the red wires are combined into one metal contact point. So the other one will be your fog light. So again, on my end, you see the fog light clearly working with no issues. Moving on, this is actually the yellow wire, which is your low beam. You'll see this H4 bulb actuate with no issues. Lastly, this is the second high filament, the high beam function for this headlight, which is actually the white wire. You see the halogen bulb is a lot brighter. Again, the bench testing process is fairly straightforward, which is what we do before shipping these headlights out. If you have an access to a 12-volt battery that you can kind of use the gauged wires to test your leads or the pins, this would actually give us a confirmation or firm indication of what's going on with the headlights, if it's not power properly receiving to the unit or whatnot. Again, for the time being, if you're able to acquire the H4 halogen bulbs, please just for the time being leave the the Bizenon kit alone. Just simply remove the one connected inside the housing, just so that you can connect a halogen H4 bulb and run the whole testing. Again, I don't want to involve this for the time being. I just want to make sure that everything works before moving on, and then for me to provide you clear instructions for these Bizenon kits. So if you can bear with me, just run through the testing of all the functions before messing with the HIDs, that'd be awesome. I'm just wondering on your end if you can help me update on what's going on, what you find. Thank you so much for your time.